Alliance's new parliamentary caucus converged for the first time today. They got a warning as DA leader Mmusi Maimane announced the party initiated disciplinary action against two of its MPs for tweets construed as homophobic and insensitive towards mental health. The party is taking steps also against former leader Helen Zille for her tweets on black privilege. ENCA reporter Lindsay Dentlinker, of course, covering this story for us. Lindsay, I'm going to put you on the spot here. Apologies for this. Of course, the breaking news is that Malusi Gigaba and Baleka Mbete, the former National Assembly Speaker, have withdrawn their names from the list of MPs for the ANC. We know that Pule Mabe has confirmed this for us, but let's talk about these two individuals, specifically Baleka Mbete. You'll remember as a reporter in Parliament that she was heavily criticized by the opposition parties.
Shahan, correct. She hasn't endeared herself much to the opposition. They've always accused her of not being impartial enough and for protecting senior leaders in the ANC and even former President Jacob Zuma while she was in that chair. As you said, we don't know the official reasons for her opting not to be sworn in as an ordinary MP tomorrow, but I suppose we can speculate that a lot has to do with whatever position they would offer her now would essentially be a demotion for her. The Speaker earning much as what the Deputy President does. You spoke about those salaries earlier. So whatever they might offer Baleka Mbete would be a bit of a demotion for her, and we can speculate that maybe that is part of the reason that she has decided not to join the ranks of ordinary MPs tomorrow.
Yeah, and then Malusi Gigaba, of course, you've seen him in the corridors of Parliament for years. South Africans were so upset last year, given his links to the Gupta family, alleged links, he'd say. Lindsay, just tell us a little bit about his character and how far he's come and gone.
Well, had he been sworn in tomorrow, this would be the third time that Malusi Gigaba gets sworn in as an MP. Last November, when he resigned under that cloud that you mentioned, that was not the first time that he resigned from Parliament. And the DA's Chief Whip, John Steenhuisen, telling me yesterday that if Malusi Gigaba were to return to Parliament in the 6th Parliament, they would certainly pick up on those charges that they laid against him with Parliament's Ethics Committee. As you know, he was facing possible perjury charges in a ruling from the North Gauteng High Court in relation to the Oppenheimer's private aviation terminal. And he was also the only minister to appear before all three parliamentary inquiries that were investigating state capture, the Eskom inquiry in relation to his time as public enterprises minister. He was also before the Home Affairs Committee with regard to naturalization for the Gupta family during his time as the Home Affairs Minister. So Malusi Gigaba has had quite a checkered history in Parliament. We don't know for sure why he has decided not to return tomorrow, but as I said, we can only speculate that he doesn't want to return to that cloud that he only left just a few months ago.
Yeah, and of course, many people in the lead up to election were unhappy that he was even on the list in the first place. So let's talk about this other story you've been following for us. The DA, of course, saying, what is the DA saying, rather, about its declining support at the polls and the reduced minority in Parliament?
Well, their majority is only reduced by 5 seats. They will take up 84 seats in the 6th Parliament. One could argue that's maybe not a significant amount of seats to lose, but certainly it's a decline over what they've had in previous years when they've steadily been growing their support in Parliament. But they still remain overwhelmingly the greatest opposition in Parliament, and they say they have a plan to get going. Over a third of their MPs are brand new, a very young caucus that met this morning, the youngest only 21 years old. They have their youth leader among them, so they're looking forward to a refreshed caucus in Parliament and a new plan of action for how they plan to hold government accountable.
Yeah, so let's talk about the party now trying to get in those people who are tweeting at their own will and damaging the party's image altogether. What's the action plan there?
Well, two of those so-called errant tweeters are MPs, and the Chief Whip of the DA, John Steenhuisen, saying that process had already begun to take action against them for those tweets. There is a social media policy governing what MPs and DA members in general may put out in the public domain, and so that process is already underway. And then, of course, there's another controversial tweet by the former Western Cape Premier, Helen Zille. She's not an MP, so she can't be dealt with by the structures that will deal with MPs Khaled Kachalia and Michael Cardo. But the DA saying that within the party structures itself, action has already started against Helen Zille for that controversial tweet or response to a tweet about black privilege. Let's take a listen to what DA leader Mmusi Maimane had to say about that tweet.
Let me say this categorically. I do not agree with the views that have been put forward by the former Premier of the Western Cape. And I tell you why. The discussion about privilege in this country is a function not only of our history as a starting off with, which advantaged a particular race over another, but it's also a function of what the last number of years have done in government, where we have failed at being able to create an access to opportunity for all South Africans, ensuring that ultimately more South Africans can in fact be included in our economy.